Shit's wobbly as hell. Hello YouTube, I thought it'd be fun to do a little durability video on quite possibly the highest mileage drift car that has seen actually like mileage on track. I don't know how you quantify that in the world, or at least at Ebisu. So this is my JZX100 I bought from Power Vehicles about a decade ago. I've done almost or just over 11,000 kilometers. I think it might be like 13,000 kilometers because I forgot to reset it when I first got it. It was a trip or two in, but it has over 11,000 kilometers on the dash since I did it. I've been keeping track of that, and let's get started. But before we start, I just want to say, if you guys want to do Drift Week, I'm probably making a lot of noise with that thing. If you guys want to do Drift Week, hit me up on the Lone Star Drift Instagram. I'll give you instructions on how to apply. So hit me up if you want to go on Drift Week. And now let's get back to this video. This is my JZX100. It's a 1JZ R154 Toyota. What makes this thing so special and so reliable, and we'll get to what's broken over the years and whatever place and how much it's cost and stuff. What makes it so reliable is Toyota. Toyota in the 90s made absolutely amazing stuff. It was over-engineered. The JZ platform is super, super strong, especially when you're only running about 300 horsepower. The car is so overbuilt and a complete tank. That does mean you're carrying around more weight than an S chassis, and on the same size, they're faster here. But you have just crazy reliability compared to like the little aluminum SR20s and stuff like that. So what we've done is I bought this from Power Vehicles in the mid 2015 time range, or 14. Came over here for my first trip. It was a street car, very basic. It had an LSD, it had the 1JZ manual drivetrain, adjustable arms, and it looked like a street car. It was in great shape and it was good. So we run like a 235 Kendi here, which is pretty small, which also helps with the reliability because you can overcome the traction way easier. You don't need such a crazy clutch. You don't need so much power. The tires are easier to break free. Keeps the car pretty reliable. And then each year we get to 2016, I start doing a little bit of body damage as I get more comfortable on it. We start jumping the car on Minami more. We're doing like 8-car tandem all the time, which is crazy dangerous, and everybody wasn't as good as they are now, so the car took way more hits back then. Each trip it would go through probably about 20 tires or so. And each trip there'd be some little thing that needed to be like replaced or fixed or done whatever. On the first trip to Ebisu, you always see the most breakage and the most things that need replacing. Typically that's like subframe bushings, engine mounts, maintenance stuff that the previous driver didn't do, and then just getting the tune sorted. Typically like the diff might be worn out or something, or it might not have a diff, or you don't like the diff or something like that. The handbrake stuff is always a disaster. This car's probably been through $3,000 of Project Move brake pads in the back. That was because of a bunch of different problems with the rear knuckle assembly, which was a disaster. And the car then, by 2017, 18, 19, was slowly getting worn down. I had a transmission that was like grinding and stuff. I eventually replaced an R154, which is probably the most like expensive single part on the car. I then replaced a differential, an LSD. I believe it needed rebuilding. I replaced the angle kit once because the angle kit was a Kazama one that didn't function very well and had some issues, so we replaced it with the Heyman one. I think it's still on the stock intercooler, or not the stock, but like the one I got with the car. It's still on the original radiator, still runs a clutch fan, still runs like a stock exhaust manifold. It had an aftermarket one in the car when we got it, but that broke just from fatigue. And it had a stock turbo in it, so we replaced it back to a stock manifold because it's a Toyota part and way stronger. That thing has not broken again. I blew one turbo. We run about 0.8 bar of boost, and the turbo wore out. The center section just fell out basically, and now we're killing our second turbo. Currently, this turbo is consuming a huge amount of oil and putting it through the system, and we consume a little bit over a liter or a quart of oil per day on the turbo, but the engine doesn't seem to have any blow-by if you open the cap and let it blow out and stuff. This still is the original engine off this car. We haven't done anything to the engine, no new bearings or anything like that. Because we're stressing it so little with the amount of boost that we're putting in it and with really good fuel at the track, that helps out a ton. The car goes through a set of spark plugs every about 3 years, which isn't a big deal. The car goes through a turbo every about 5 years, transmission probably about every 6 years. Still the same drive shaft. The housing of the diff is the same. I've gone through, I think, 2 axles in the thing. One was when I was not driving. Oh, and it's another thing to say, at some points, the winners of the Texas Street Legal Series and Pro-Am did drive this car. So this car has not just seen me as a driver, it's seen at least 5 or 6 drivers at the minimum. And the car typically does anywhere from 6 to about 20 days on track per Ebisu trip. I was originally doing 2 Ebisu trips per year at Matsuri time. Now I'm down to 1 a year, and obviously during COVID, we didn't go for like 3 years while Japan was closed down. I think that's the big stuff. Realistically, like, the car takes a lot of damage from the outside. So this gets stuffed in quite a bit, and then we get in the trunk and we kick it out and fix that. This is still the original trunk. We've gone through multiple sets of taillights as we had taillights get blown out of the back of the car. I used to, when I was on 18-inch wheels, bend or crack wheels quite often because the sidewall of the tire was a lot smaller. So we swapped to 17-inch tires, even though it doesn't look as cool. More sidewall means that whenever we accidentally dip or do something, we're not just exploding a wheel up here. So since I've gone to 17-inch tires, I don't think I've broken an actual wheel, and that's front and back. I run the exact same, just like simple 300 treadwear tire front and rear. I don't run any really sticky stuff up front. The doors have taken a beating. These are still the same doors. The windows still go up and function and everything, which is really important for Ebisu. You do not want to have a car without windows. One, for storage, but also just because you don't want, when it's raining or cold or, you know, people are splashing mud on you or whatever, you want to be able to roll those things up. It is almost a full interior car. We have pulled out the back seat just because it was easier to fit the cage, and it does have a cage. There are no door bars, but there is a harness bar, and then we run bucket seats and harnesses. Aftermarket steering wheel, and finally, after like 8 years here, we put in a handbrake, which has made a huge amount of difference, and probably the biggest reason I ever crashed this car at Ebisu was because I was driving without a handbrake for quite some time. Probably like 2 years, I didn't really have a functional handbrake, and it made a huge difference having a handbrake, so you can readjust and save yourself when you're about to die doing something dumb with a handbrake. And then these are probably the second set of fenders on here, just because you drive around, you crash into the fenders a lot, jumping on Minami. Minami was incredibly damaging to the fenders, and I think I'm still in the stock same headlights. It has been through 1 fuel pump, I think, and also the baffles in the JZXs break out, and I have a baffle in there right now just like banging around, which is a big problem. Other than that, and probably the biggest, most expensive other thing besides the transmission was the Project Move brake shoes. We had like a messed up knuckle, and the brake shoes were twisting and only contacting part of the shoe. The biggest thing is I get better, I do less damage to the car. I treat it better, especially because it's way more expensive. The car was about $6 grand US or like $7 grand US when I bought it. I think something like that. The exchange rate's always changing, it's hard to remember. And now a car like this in good shape, obviously not this beat up, would probably be 20 grand to replace this car. So it's too expensive to really go get more of these things, especially because I operate 2 cars out of Ebisu for myself and also the winners, the Lone Star Drift and Texas Street Legal Series, so they can drive. They're up here right now too. Andrew Gray from Power Vehicles keeps telling me that this is the highest mileage and longest lasting missile in their entire fleet and of any other that he knows. And I know there's drift cars that have been around longer. I even have some that have been around since 2004 that I've owned. I gave it to Mark, and Mark now drives it, and it was the Nakamura S13 off of Drift Week 6. But ones that have actually operated on track this much, I kind of doubt there's many. So anyways, that's it. It's been really reliable. 1 engine, 2 transmissions, 2 turbos, 2 axles, and lots of little tiny pieces, but it's really not that crazy. Everything in the engine bay is almost the same as when I got it. As much Toyota stuff as you can keep, that's the most reliable thing possible. Another year in the books. We'll be back in 2025 unless I somehow get out here again before 2025 and come out here by myself and have some fun. But that's my JZX 100. I hope you guys have enjoyed my vlogs over the years. I haven't made them in my last few trips just because I've been so busy doing Drift Week and getting all that stuff going. It's so time intensive to make my giant 5-hour vlogs. That's it. And please send in an application, come on Drift Week with us, and have a great time. I'm so tired after being in Japan for 2 weeks. It's time to go home, see my kid, my wife, and go live a normal life. This is like the adventure that never ends. Bye, everybody.
We always have lots of Lone Star Drift events coming up. Next up is Lone Star Bash over by Austin, Texas. It's a 3-day event. Party, camping, music, pit bikes, food, drifters, all kinds of stuff. Go to LoneStarDrift.com to register for that. It does have limited spots, so don't wait too long. We also have a Fuel Fest at Texas Motor Speedway where we're doing paid ride-alongs for the spectators. Laps are $100 a piece. Drivers keep everything they make from the spectators. That's on April 25th, and we have an import face-off event at Houston Motorsports Park on March 1st. You can register for 2 of those on LoneStarDrift.com and go to the Instagram thing and message me for an invite to the Fuel Fest one if you want to do that. All right, have a great day. Bye.